Good morning. This is another at-home practice for you to implement into your daily routine. A good way to keep your joints healthy, your joints moving, and add a little bit of activation to your muscles. So this is Jenna. Real quick, we're going to go over one of the most important kind of body cues that we're going to be using in this practice, so that when you hear me say it in the video, you don't have to look, but you just kind of intuitively know what to do, or you have the information so that you can do it. So we're going to go over the pelvic tilts. So if Jenna, you want to turn a quarter turn to the left, all right. And then Jenna, why don't you use your fingers and just on the sides, just kind of point out, okay, so she's at her, the top of her pelvis, which is her ASIS, all right, and she's going to go into a posterior tilt, all right. So all she's doing there is kind of bringing her pubic bone closer to her belly button. All right, she's flattening her low back and gently scooping her tailbone between her legs, okay? And then she'll go into an anterior tilt, which is on the opposite side of the spectrum, all right? And it's more where you create this, this concave curvature of your low back, okay? Your pubic bone drops down between your feet. And so these are the two pelvic positions. If you want to just go through, one or two more. Okay, so in the video, I might cue Jenna, or I might cue you, the person at home doing this with her, to do a little bit more of a posterior pelvic tilt. And I just want you to understand that the posterior tilt is going to help to flatten your back, and the anterior tilt is going to help to kind of lengthen your low back with this curve in it. I think it's also worth noting that whenever you do these pelvic tilts, you don't want to give 100% effort to them. You just want to always do less is more, okay? So like 30% effort is going to probably facilitate a better response in your hips, your pelvis, and your low back, and kind of help keep the body a little more integrated than like a really aggressive 100% tilt in one direction or the other. So anyways, that's kind of the learning curve. The learning tip of the day is the posterior anterior pelvic tilt. We're going to get started with this more active warm-up or movement piece. So Jenna's going to grab her yoga block and put it the second widest way between her thighs. Okay, I think it's useful for you at home to have 2, if not 3 blocks around for this. All right, so let's start in a flat back facing the wall, okay? So you see Jenna measures about arm's distance away, and then she's going to start to send her hips a little further back, all right? And then see if you can straighten your knees a little more. Good. And you can probably even walk your hands a little lower down. Okay. Now you, the person at home doing this with her, you want to make sure you have comfort throughout your whole body. Okay. If you have the shoulder mobility, you can walk your hands a little bit higher up so your biceps are a little bit more in line with your ears. Yeah, you can keep going, Jenna. If any of you at home experience like a gripping in your jaw, or your upper shoulder is working too much, I would just come out of this, walk the hands lower. But the main objective is to create space on the front of the hip. So good hip flexor length, all right? We have the block there. I want Jenna to start to kind of engage inward on the block, and that's gonna help facilitate recruitment of her transverse abdominis, which is going to be that corset-shaped abdominal muscle that attaches the ribcage to the pelvis. Okay, now one way to tell if you're comfortable here, if you go into a couple of pelvic rocks, okay, and you can see she's doing a posterior tilt, and then she's going to go into an anterior tilt. And what you want to do is basically explore both ends of the spectrum and just get to a place where it feels comfortable and sustainable. Like you could stay here all day. Second thing to think about while you're engaging on that block is like, can you make the front of your abs really toned, okay? It's like if someone was gonna come up and hit your stomach, it would be rock solid. All right, now without moving your head, spine, or hips, bring your hands to the fronts of your shins, all right? And you're just gonna continue to hold. All right, you might even try to get your shoulders and head in line with your pelvis a little bit more. Yep. And now you're kind of like a tabletop, all right? And then when you're ready, forward fold, put both hands on the ground. All right, if you at home do not have that sort of flexibility, I just want you to make sure that you're using blocks underneath your hands. All right, and then when you're ready, I want you to roll up your spine to a flat back with hands on shins. Good. You're going to reach your hands forward and then kind of float to the wall. Good, and let's walk your hands or your feet all the way to the wall. All right, and you at home, you're going to measure about a foot away. And then Jenna, come onto your forearms on the wall. So this is a standing forearm plank exercise. So you want to make sure you kind of have this soft bend in your knees. All right, you're trying to drop your pelvis down towards the floor. So you're getting that posterior pelvic tilt. All right, and then you don't want to feel like you're leaning on the wall at all. So if anything, you're gently just floating at the wall. All right, you're pushing into the meat of your forearms, and you just take a couple of breaths. All right. You can even think about things like where the pressure is in your feet. If you're only in your heels, try to put more weight into the balls of your foot. If you're only in the balls of your foot, see if you can put it into the heels. Basically, try to move your center of mass where it doesn't have a tendency to be. All right, and then keeping your shoulder blades where they are, you can straighten your arms up the wall. Okay, start to walk those feet back, come to a flat back on the wall again. Good. Take a couple of breaths. You're going to bring your hands right to your shins. Head, spine, and hips don't move. Forward fold, touch the ground. All right, and now you're going to put your hands on either your calves or the hamstrings. All right, and I want you to try and activate your arms. So see if you can do like a bicep curl and get both your bicep and your tricep to kind of wake up a bit. All right, and you just hold. And then try to take some big, deep breaths into the upper back of the rib cage. All right, then when you're ready, you're staying close to the ground. Put your hands on the floor. Okay, and you're going to step your feet back to a plank. All right, and then you're just going to pause here and see if you can get your hips a little higher. There you go. Okay, so first thing to do is just try to squeeze your quads against your femurs. So straighten your knees really hard. Then we're going to do a quick measurement test. So if you bend both your knees and bring them to the floor. All right, and if you reach one arm forward, it should reach that wall really comfortably, just like in the flat back. Okay, and let's test the left arm. All right, you come back down. Let's go back to the plank. Good, you just pause for a moment. Okay, and then keeping your elbows straight and your knees as straight as you can. Again, if you're somebody with limited range of motion or like flexibility in your hips, spine, or shoulders, use blocks. Let's walk the hands back to the feet. All right, you're in a forward fold. Come right to your flat back, hands on shins. All right, you pause for a second, you reach your hands forward, and then you're going to come all the way up to standing. All right, let's just bring the hands down toward the sternum. All right, so Jenna, if you do a quarter turn, face the camera. Okay, so next we're going to do a little bit of like a spinal movement. Okay, so she still has the block between her thighs to create that tension of her adductors. All I want you to do a side bend to the right. Okay, and then you'll do the same thing, a side bend to the left. So all we're doing is waking up the spine with a little bit of lateral flexion. Okay. Nothing too fancy here. Again, I would encourage you, less is more. So you don't want to just shorten one side dramatically. It's like, can you do this and find the length of the arc on the side that you're bending towards? Okay, you don't want to just squish and compress your rib cage onto your pelvis. All right, then you can pause, make fists by your side. Okay, she's going to start with a neck car, so it's a controlled articular rotation of her cervical spine. She's going to first pull her chin to her chest. Okay, she's going to pick a collarbone to drag her chin across. Okay, once she gets to the end of the collarbone, she's going to laterally flex the head right. All right, and then she's going to try and take her head as far back as possible so the front of her throat is facing the ceiling. Okay, she's squeezing the block, she's squeezing her fist, she's trying to press her feet into the ground. All right, you're going to go all the way to the other side. So she's laterally flexing, she's rotating left. All right, she'll try to get that chin to touch her collarbone again. And then eventually the chin comes to the middle, to the sternum, and let's go the other way. All right, if your rotation lasts shorter than 20 seconds, it doesn't count as a controlled rotation. You're really trying to get the muscles that control, rotate, side bend, flex, and extend your neck bones, your cervical spine. You're trying to get those muscles to do their job here. So the slower you go, you're going to get that additional time under tension of those often underutilized muscles. All right, and you're in the middle. Now you can do about 2 to 4 rotations in each direction. For the sake of the video, we're just going to show 1. So this would be a good time to pause it and then do a couple more. So take your hands to your sternum, and now we're going to advance the lateral flexion from earlier. So real quick, let's just do your head. So laterally flex to the left, and then laterally flex to the right. Okay, and what you'll notice is that like her whole body isn't moving. It's just her head and neck, okay? Now, we can take this up a level and start to talk about how we can train opposition, okay? So we're going to have her laterally flex her body to the right, but her head to the left. Okay, so now she's laterally flexing her head left in relation to the rest of her spine, laterally flexing right. Then let's do the other side. Okay, so this is a more advanced progression, simply worth practicing, since every step we take in life, in human gait, this opposition occurs somewhat naturally, but the more tacked down we are between like our head and our rib cage and our pelvis, we start to lose this kind of this independent motion of the different cavities of the body. All right, fantastic. So let's have you square off, face the wall again. Okay, and then you're going to reach your hands forward, go into a forward fold, and walk your hands to a plank. All right, so we'll take a moment, just enjoy the plank. All right, if you want a little bit more, you can do a couple knee taps. See if you can practice bringing both knees to kiss the floor at the same time. Nice. Now this last one, you can bring the knees down. Okay, keep your hands where they are. Go to a quick child's pose. So it's somewhat active. It's not too passive. You just go wherever, kind of wherever your body is. All right, and then let's have you roll up to a kneeling position. All right, so hands are back at the thighs, and let's put that block to the side. All right, great. So first thing we're going to do, let's do right leg forward. Okay, and then you can always pad your back knee if that's what you feel like you need. But either way, this is fine. So what I want you to do, flip your back toes under. All right, try to get a slight posterior tilt on the pelvis so your low back isn't arching and you don't have any additional strain on it. Lean forward a bit, okay? And you'll notice her knee didn't go forward, just her spine. Okay, you're gonna reach your left arm forward to the wall, right arm back. And then just a couple of times, your right knee is gonna steer over the toes, and that's it. You just do this a couple of times, okay? And what I think can feel pretty good is like, can you create traction on your right heel back towards your left knee? So you're using ground force tension to pull your knee forward. All right, let's just do one more. Good, and you can pause there, both hands on the sternum. Okay, and let's do 4 rotations to the right, just the upper body. Good. Now you see she's practicing the counter rotation again. So as her thorax and her rib cage rotates right, her head stays straight, making a left rotation of the head. Okay, so again, the idea is to train opposition of the body. All right, fantastic. Now if you put that block on the inside of your right foot, and those of you at home who have 2 blocks, I would use 2 blocks for this, put both hands down, and you're going to go right into both legs straight. So just kind of a forward fold, keeping your torso as close to your thigh as possible. So I would even bend those knees a bit. There it is. and then you're going to come back into that low lunge. So back knee lands, that's 1. We'll do 3 more. All right. And when you're in that extended position with the knees, try to keep a right rotation of the pelvis. Good, that's 3. And last 1. That's 4. Great. You come down. Okay, hands walk up to your torso, spine is upright. Change legs. Okay, back toes under. Nice. You're going to reach the right arm forward, left arm back, and then flatten your low back a bit. And then just a couple of times, use that tension or that ground force tension to pull the knee past the toes. Nice. Hands to sternum. Let's do left rotation of the rib cage. Okay, so head is rotating right, rib cage is rotating left, tail is under, so you have a slight posterior tilt. That's 3. All right, then we're going to take that block again, put it on the inside of the left ankle. Okay, and we'll just do 4 of these, kind of both knees extend. Then you bring yourself down. Okay, if you're somebody who experiences discomfort on the back knee when you're doing this, I wouldn't even do the full motion. I might just lower my back knee anywhere from like 1/3 to halfway down and then straighten it. You absolutely do not need to bring it all the way to the floor. All right, and to take it down, you upright your spine, sweep that leg back. Okay, you can take that block, just put it to the side, and we're going to come to head, hips, and heart, so belly down. We'll work toward a quick superhero variation or a hovering cobra. Okay, so you want to bend your knees, push your thighs down, your pelvis and butt will lift up. Then from there, you want to see if you can add that posterior tilt of your low back. All right, you're going to reach your hands out to a T, Jenna. Palms down. All right. To the floor. There you go. Elbows up to the ceiling. All right, and then see if you can bend those elbows a bit. All right, and then everyone just pick up your head. So arms stay down, thighs are pushing, pelvis is up, and you're thinking, how can I round my tail under a little bit more and broaden my shoulder blades away from my spine? Okay, as long as you can keep that tension in your arms, you can float your hands up. But if you feel like when you pick up your hands, your biceps shut off or part of your shoulders shut off, I want you to keep the hands pushing down so that we can engage that lat, that pec, even recruit some of the serratus muscle, all right, which is going to help to laterally open up and expand the rib cage. All right, and then when you're ready, why don't we just do a push-up to child's pose. Good. Then let's just go to a plank, walk your hands to your feet, come up to standing. All right, nice. And then just to kind of finish up, if you do that quarter turn to the right, yep, good. And a little more quarter turn to the left. There you go. So we can see a good side profile shot of you. We're going to finish with that 3-step breathing. Okay, so this is something great to do on your own, before doing something like this, after, in between breaks at work, when you wake up, before you go to bed. Basically, one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest, all right? You're going to breathe in, try to expand your stomach. The second part of the inhale, it moves it up into the rib cage, and then you exhale. Yeah, and you'll see, basically we're trying to encourage the sternum and the ribs to move away from the stomach and the pelvis, okay? Good. So that first inhale feeds right into the second part of the rib cage. There you go. And then you exhale and you try to keep the decompressive sensation or the separation of the ribs from the pelvis. You can do 10 to 20 of these. You can do it laying down, laying against the wall, or standing like this. All right, well, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, give feedback if you have it, and have a good day.